You could have that. You could have the talent, but especially in a thing like fighting, you got to have the heart. You got to have the will. You got to have the grit. You got to have. It's got to be deep within your loins to be wanting to do something, because you're not just fighting somebody to knock them out. You're trying to take a man's soul at that point.
Oh yeah.
All right. Welcome to another episode of the Bring the Juice podcast. I'm your host, Frank Dalena. Today on the pod, we have the Central Valley gangster, Isaiah Hokit. Hokit, say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me.
Bring the Juice Nation. We have a banger today. Little background from the Central Valley. You wrestled at Fresno State.
Yes, sir.
And let's just jump right into it. You're fighting in the featherweight of Bellator. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So collegiate wrestling is its own thing. And your brother, Josh Hokit, came on recently in the pod. We heard his 2 cents on things. It'll be awesome to hear your take on some of the similar subjects. But let's just talk transition from collegiate wrestling going into the Bellator. You're done wrestling. What's the mindset? Got it? What's next or what?
Yeah, man. Well, obviously I hope to have a different outcome from my wrestling or my college wrestling endeavors. My previous experience to college wrestling was definitely very different. Growing up, I was definitely a very good wrestler, and in high school on a couple different occasions, I was top 20 in the country. I was pretty solid. I was a 4-time California state placer. I think there was maybe only 30 others that had done it at the time when I did it. It was very tough to do. But with that being said, I felt like very much underachieved in my college experience.
Right.
And part of me didn't even want to really fight, to be honest. And like I kind of didn't know if I wanted to get back in that competitive scene.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, man, I think I just want to, do a everyday job, you know? Cuz I think in the grand scheme of things, after kind of doing a little bit of soul searching and stuff, I think I was kind of running away from something. And I think I just didn't want to confront something within myself, and, it even took Josh kind of like to tell me like, hey, this isn't you, dude.
Yeah.
Like you weren't meant to just do like a regular freaking job.
Right.
Like you're running from something like you like, and it just kind of like, it didn't happen just like right then and there,
Yeah.
It took some self-reflection for sure. It was like for me, like I got to the point where I was just, kind of doing, I was working on our property out in Wasco.
Yeah.
And, I was just, I came home after, working one day and I was just like, man, is this really all that's it for me? Like, really? Like I'm not really making, I'm not making like a crap ton of money. Like I'm not, like, I just, I don't feel fulfilled doing this. Like like maybe I just wasn't meant to be just like some regular person.
Yeah. You don't want to work a 9 to 5. Right
like
now.
It was just like, I was definitely trying to kind of convince myself of like some lie. And, I was just like, I'm a Christian guy. So I'm like, man, I'm like to myself, like, or I'm praying to God, like, man, is this really all that's it? Like, there's got to be something more. Like, show me what I should be doing. Like, what do I get, the most fulfillment doing?
Right.
It's not even necessarily all about making millions of dollars. Like, it doesn't even have to be that. But what do I have what do I get the most enjoyment out of doing? Because in the grand scheme of things, if you find something you enjoy, you're going to really try to take off with it. Kind of similar to this podcast.
Absolutely.
Like, you're taking off with it. You can tell you really enjoy it. And
I do.
Man, it's going to go to great heights because you are doing something that and if it really does bring you joy, you're going to keep trying to,
climb that mountain.
Yeah, exactly. Go vertical with it. So yeah, man, I definitely, I'm loving my MMA experience. I definitely know. I always knew I loved to fight, but it's like there was also a part of me that was like, there's got to be a simpler way than to just getting your head beat in, Right. But it was just like, what? Maybe I am just meant to be like some type of, warrior. Maybe I ought to owe it to myself to find out where I stack up as an athlete, or, I know I can definitely be a world champion. I know I can be, I don't short on athleticism.
Right.
I maybe am not my brother. He's definitely a better athlete than I am.
Hey,
but
man.
I mean, I'm still nothing. I'm still a pretty dang good athlete when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely love where I'm going with my MMA experience or MMA career. And, I recently moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and, a place that I never thought I'd be. And, I'm still actively through MMA getting to travel the world. And,
hey, not many people get to do that.
Yeah,
many people get to do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you had that calling of saying, you, like I said, you were working on the property, and you said there's got to be something more. Your faith had something to do with it. What's your calling? And as you said, how do I stack up against people? I totally know what you mean by that, because it's like I had a similar experience after I was done playing football at Fresno State. When I was winding down, I was like, I have my parents, my family has a farm that I grew up on. It's why I am the way I am today. And growing up, all I wanted to do was play football for Fresno State and then farm onions, which is what we grow. But when it was about that time, I was like, there's got to be something in between. I didn't grow up wrestling or fighting. They didn't have it at my school. And again, I got the seed planted in my head that there's something more. So that's when I transitioned to try out for the Team USA bobsled team, which had turned into the skeleton team, which turned into this, holy shit, I'm trying to go the Olympics journey.
Right.
And because I knew there was more, and I got to do it for 2 seasons and grow and compete against other countries and do some things that I never thought I would get to do. And I had a whole community behind me, and had this ice cowboy persona about me, and it was awesome. And I got hurt. The Olympics happened. I started Bring the Juice. And that's just kind of how I've developed into things. But I know what you're saying, because it's hard to go from being a high-level competitive athlete just to one day it's stripped away from you, and now, I got work tomorrow morning. Yeah, right. I gotta type this stuff in a computer, then go check that and do this. And my lunch starts at noon. What are you eating? Well, it doesn't really matter. I'm not training, so like I could pretty much do whatever I want.
Right.
You want to hold yourself to a higher standard, and I think you had that realization too, because if you wait too long, dude, it goes away. Like, you can't, like, we talk about National Football League on here all the time. You can't not play a football game for 4 years and expect to go back and play as well as you did the last time you went in.
Right.
You lose it. You do. And the older we get, shit, man, we're getting, like, I feel, I'm 25 now. I feel, when I wake up, I feel 38.
Right.
Like, I really do. I touch my toes every morning.
Yeah, exactly. And especially like a sport, like, well, I mean, I've wrestled since I was 4 years old. And I mean, I graduated at, 23, 24.
Right.
And so that's 20 years. And wrestling is known to be like dog years to the body, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just feeling it like the other day. Like, I hadn't even really done anything. I just woke up and all of a sudden, like, my shoulders are aching. Yeah. I'm just like, dude, oh my gosh, dang. Tough. Like, yeah, it's tough. And especially, touching on what you were saying, going 4 years without playing football and then all of a sudden jumping back in, like, you really can't do it. And it's like the same thing for MMA, because it really is a young man's game.
Yeah.
Like rarely do you see people make it to 40 years old and fight. That, like, unless you were you saw, like, even the greats, like, they get right there and then they're like done. Yeah. Like, there's like, Anderson Silva, like, he was on top of the game forever. And then all of a sudden, like, he gets to like around that age, he loses like 5 straight. And like, if he was young, and it's a young man's game, man. there's always somebody. Just, I mean, I guess that could go for anything that you do. Even in the business world, there's always somebody on the come up.
Oh,
there's
absolutely.
there's always some younger, hungrier dog trying to get you.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I'm always thinking like, yeah, you're 25 right now, but you're not always going to be that, man.
Exactly.
You're not, I mean, before you know it, you're going to be like 30 to 32. Don't be thinking like you have all this time.
No.
Like for me, especially, like I have to, kind of expedite my process because I jumped right into the big league.
Right. How'd you get that opportunity even?
So, okay. So it also helps when your manager, I've known my manager since I was like 7-8 years old. I grew up like wrestling with his sons also.
Yeah.
And so we've always kind of, kept in contact. We know each other. He knows like I was always capable of fighting. Like I grew up fighting, street fights and stuff.
Yeah.
He knew I was capable, and he knew that the level of wrestler I was.
It could transfer over.
Yeah, like it could transfer over for sure. And then so he was like he's kind of an OG manager in the game. Like so he's
got a little pull.
He's got some pull. So with that being said, I kind of had to expedite I had to speed up my process on how good I was getting, because literally so jumping into the big leagues, like these guys, like they got 5+ years in MMA.
Yeah.
Like and then they probably came up in some background like I did.
Yeah.
Like it may not have been wrestling, but I mean, even you look at my last fight, like dude fought some pretty good competition, and he's a Taekwondo black belt.
Right.
But me, I'm a black belt in wrestling. So I was like, I ought to use that.
Right.
This go around. I definitely learned my lesson from the first fight for sure.
Yeah.
That guy, I mean, he had he almost had probably 10 years in MMA, to be honest.
Wow.
Dang near. It was probably like 8. But before that, he had tremendous amounts of like kickboxing fights. And even in his MMA fights, he was fighting like UFC caliber guys.
Right.
Like the dude before he fought me, he had fought a dude who just got signed to the UFC right after he fought him. So it was just like and honestly, there was a little bit of definitely a mental adjustment process that I had to go about it way differently than I was thinking. Like I ain't gonna just be able to walk out there and just break people. Like these guys, these guys are good, man.
Yeah,
like they're here for a reason.
For a reason.
Yes,
exactly.
they're good for a reason. So it's like, maybe you need to be a little bit more humble. Yeah. For sure about how you go about this process.
Yeah. So I want to get back to this, but I want to just start with your first time going live. Because when you wrestle, like you said, street fights are one thing, wrestling's a whole nother thing, and you didn't really get to become an MMA person. You went damn near straight to the Bellator, to where, and for people who don't know the Bellator, it's essentially similar to the UFC, just a different league, correct?
Yes, it's the competitor organization to the UFC.
So,
basically.
Was that first fight you had the first time ever getting to go all out live? Like all out, no strings attached, no headgear, no spar, or did you have a couple like kind of under the table practice matches at least?
I mean, okay, so I had no amateur fights.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, no amateur fights. Just kind of, practice straight into like the bright lights, pretty much.
Right.
But honestly, I hadn't had like
live shots.
Yeah, flying. Like I needed to have that feeling of, oh, this guy is trying to knock my ass off. Like he's
trying to kill me.
And I don't think after self-reflection after that first fight, which I think I was very poor at going before that first fight. Like my self-reflections, I mean, I'm working on it, but you gotta definitely be able to tell yourself the truth. Like, hey, did I do this? Like, did I was I able to like find some limitations within myself? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, the thing is about me, I'm very fearless when it goes to fighting. Like, I don't give a crap about getting hit in the face. I don't care. But the thing is, like, you want to win.
Yeah.
You want to win fights. So
hell yeah, winning's more fun than losing.
The thing is, I don't think I really understood my limitations. But yeah, I needed to have that feeling of a high intensity go, and somebody just, really feel like I needed to really feel like somebody's trying to lay me out, and I hadn't had that. Yeah. After like self-reflecting, I was just like, man, these guys really weren't trying to hurt me like I thought they kind of might. Right. Or I thought I had, or maybe I had like a mental, like I thought I had a much better chin than I did, or I maybe had better awareness. Right. And like I got out there, and it's honestly like your first fight, it's definitely like it feels like everything's 100 miles an hour. Yeah. Your senses are definitely heightened. Yeah. Like you're like, because truth be told, like I got knocked out by a very basic combination. Yeah. And
well, I mean, how did he even like? Okay, so
it's just
boom, bang, bang. Yeah. Okay. Bell rings.
So I was.
And what happened?
Honestly, it was like, just
before like, bell rings. You shaking? Like you good? Like all right, I got a game plan. Or?
I mean, I definitely felt the anxiety of it. Yeah. There was definitely some nerves, but like honestly, even when I went out there, the fight didn't last very long. So it was just like I went out. I thought I was just gonna be able to put this high pace, and like honestly, I felt like, oh, I'm just gonna go out there and try to break this guy. Yeah. Like I'm just gonna break him. Like it was just like. No real game plan. Yeah. It was just like, I'm going to go break him.
You were going straight.
I'm going to go.
Let's go.
Like, I'm going to go and just, beat him up. Yeah. Yeah. It's just very vaguely. And you can't. It's just like, dude, you cannot think like that at this rate. That is like bar fight mentality. Like, no, you cannot do that.
It works in the streets, but not in the octagon. And
exactly. And then sure enough, like I know, I hit pretty dang hard. So it was just like, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to scare the what out of him, So I go, I get the angle, and I think, oh, I'm safe at this. And I throw like a half-ass punch. And that goes back to like training. Right. Like I hadn't really fought. I hadn't fought with the intensity that I needed to be fighting at in practice. And so I think it kind of translated. I was like, oh, and I throw this half-ass punch. And I leave my chin hanging in the air. And all of a sudden I get check left hook or check right hook because he's a Southie. And then he right hooks me and then just goes with the left cross and just lays me out. And I'm just like, dang it.
Did you get knocked out, or did you just, they called it?
So, I mean, he didn't, he kind of like stunned me. Uh-huh. It was kind of like a flash knockdown, and then he got on top of me, and then like, that's when he definitely knocked me out right there. Yeah. But, yeah, man, I was definitely, I was devastated. I didn't really so much care that I lost. I guess it was just more of like, you look at your social media afterwards, and it's just like, you feel like you let so many people down, but it's just like,
but at the same time, I don't know. It's you versus you in this world. Yeah. And like, for sure. I know what you mean. And like in a lot of sports, me and Josh talked about this on our episode, was like, a lot of sports are team sports where, it's not single-handedly like you're responsible for the actions of the result necessarily. A sport like MMA, wrestling, fighting, it's you. It's your ass unless you do some lucha libre shit, nacho libre wrestling match in Mexico or something like that, where it's a tag team. But that's not relevant towards this episode. But what I'm saying is, it's you versus you, and you got one dude to fight, and it's if you win, you win. If you lose, you lose, and it's no one else's deal. But on top of that, like you said before the pod a little bit, it's more fun to win than it is to lose.
Oh, absolutely.
But like, having that mentality, and yeah, I get the social media side of things because we live in a world now where everything's on your phone, everything's on TV,
Right.
and people are gonna, say what they say, do what they do. How fast did you watch it on TV, or have you watched it?
My
Your
first
first fight, yeah.
Oh yeah, I watched it.
Yeah.
And then honestly, I was just like, I watched it, and I mean, I think I didn't probably watch it till like 2 days later because I was just like,
I want to see it right now.
yeah, I don't want to see it right now. And then like, yeah, I had talked to the parents and everything, and you just, you feel worse because you're just like, man, my mom was there. Like my dad watched it. Like,
Yeah.
my brother watched it. But it was just like, yeah, I don't really so much care what, people say. It's just like the people that like were rooting for you, Like,
Well,
but I guess
what are
it's
you gonna
just
do?
me.
What are you gonna do?
I think I've always kind of been like this like people pleaser type of thing, and that's another thing. Yeah, I had to kind of talk to myself about like, what are you in this for, dude?
Right.
Like this is this is way too dangerous of a sport to like not know why you're in this.
Yeah.
And it's
True.
And it's like for me, it's like I kind of got to do this for me. Like, yeah, you can want to make people proud, but you got in this,
yeah,
because you wanted to confront something within yourself. You wanted to have more than just like, yeah, I got in this probably a little bit for my like future family.
Yeah.
Like I want to have more than just being able to pass like riches
right
to my kids or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to pass down like, like certain life lessons and like certain value or, these things that I'm trying to confront within myself, I'm trying to have passed down to them at like a young age so that they can overcome this thing. Right. And just, and the bloodline gets better and better
right
every time. I'm not about like having these generational curses, I'm trying to just keep, progressing.
Yeah. Going up. Generational. I agree. My dad always talks about, I don't want you to have to learn the mistakes that I've already had to go through.
Right. Not
even mistakes, but just things where it's like, I took the hard route. Hey, I'm going to teach you this. It'll be a little bit easier on you.
Right.
And so, don't get me wrong. Like, you don't want to patty cake your kids to the point where they just got this easy life. Like, I do believe I do believe that if you struggle with something in life and you consistently are attacking a goal and you're chipping away at something, you're going to work hard for it. It's going to make victory taste that much sweeter, for one.
Right.
But for two, it's going to build that character within. Mm-hmm. And that's ultimately what makes you a winner in the end. Because you could have the talent, but especially in a thing like fighting, you got to have the heart. You got to have the will. You got to have the grit. It's got to be deep within your loins to be wanting to do something. Because you're not just fighting somebody to knock them out. You're trying to take a man's soul at that point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes.
One question. Do you like to eat really good food?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So we have this company called Plates Hub. Plates Hub is owned by this guy named Joe. Absolute stud. He, what they do is they do meal prep. They feed a lot of NFL dudes, a couple fighters, a couple NBA dudes. But now they are making it available to where the average person can now buy their meal preps.
Oh, that's awesome.
So what you do is you go onto their website, you pick your meals. They're never frozen. They're with the best ingredients, a lot of organic, and you could go on, select it, boom, it'll show up at your door in like 2 days. You eat it, you smack it, make your kids better, makes you a better fighter, makes me a better podcast host. We love it. We love it. So shout out to Plates Hub. Additionally, I don't know if you noticed, but Dervos Deli, which let me get this hat on real quick. Woo! Dervos Deli.
Nice.
Is one of the most premier sandwich shops in Fresno. You remember the old Deli Delicious right there across from St. Martin Center?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's now Dervos Deli. Same owner, not a franchise, just a guy who's trying to make a kick-ass deli within the 559. Their chicken sandwich is phenomenal. He's actually getting it to where we want to have, I want all the athletes in there. We want to sign some pictures, get them up on the wall. Their chicken sandwich is so damn good. My brother went there a couple days ago, had their burger. We love Dervo's Deli. So shout out to Dervo's Deli.
Nice.
We'll be there soon. Right. And then lastly, Ascend Film Company. Shout out to our boy Jake. That's why all of our reels, our social medias, our YouTube page is blowing up. Jake is the man. We got some big things soon. He's connected with all of our athletes, doing videos for them now. Shout out to Jake. Shout out to his company. Shout out to his beautiful filming. Anyways, wrapping back into the episode. Isaiah, that first fight, okay, we talked about it. It sucked. Okay? It sucked, but there were lessons learned.
Yeah.
And I think before there is success, there must be failure. Hang on. Let me redo that. Feel better now. Before there is success, there must be failure. And, it's hard because everyone wants to just win constantly. Hell yeah, that'd be nice. But it's one of those things where when you lose, like you said, you self-reflect. You sit down and just think to yourself. You're laying in bed and things are playing over in your head. You're showering and you're just kind of staring at the wall. Just your thoughts are going through you. Like, it's really internal when you have to lose something. And it could go one of two ways when you lose. You could either go in the tank and say, poor me, crybaby, whatever. Or you could get a little pissed off, a little bit of juice, and get your piss hot, and now you're rolling. Now you're training a little bit harder. You got that chip on your shoulder. You're getting after things. And that's what you did, it seems like.
Yeah.
So your transition, all right, last fight's behind us. I got to hit the gym for this next fight. Let's go. How'd it go?
So actually prior to that, so the thing is, in that situation, I could have easily just been like, oh, that was a fluke. I mean, I definitely could have beat that guy with the skill set I had.
Right.
I took it only 6 months into training, which is kind of nuts looking back at it. It was just like, after like looking back and, all that stuff, I was just like, man, I had no business doing what the hell I was doing, Mm-hmm. So it was just like, I had to, be more truth. Like I had to speak some more truth to myself. Like, why did that happen? Yeah. Because the same thing's going to keep happening, or the same so-called fluke is going to keep happening. If you take this, if you don't self-reflect on this, if you keep taking this victim mentality of like, why is me? Like, why is this happening to me? Like, why do I have to get humiliated in front of everybody? But really, it was like, okay, like why did that happen? We self-reflected. Now, I was thinking maybe I didn't prepare like I needed to. Maybe I didn't have the right intensity. So, and then it was like, am I at the right gym? Mm-hmm. And, Antonio McKee is a great coach, but at the moment I was just like, I kind of feel like I need something different,
Change it up a little.
I got to change it up. So, I talked with the fam and stuff, and we were kind of, had initially thought of, gyms to train at when I had first signed anyway. And my manager had a good relationship, and he knew Greg Jackson out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And for those of you who don't know, that is the former training place of like John Jones, and like Holly Holm still currently trains there, and a lot of other UFC legends, to be honest. So I went. We kind of took a leap of faith. Mm-hmm. And went out to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Well, I guess it wasn't so much a leap of faith. They're kind of legendary coaches, so we knew we were kind of getting there.
In good hands, right?
Exactly. So we went out and drove that 12 hours to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I'm currently at. And yeah, man, just from the get-go, it was like, man, like I have a long way to go, you know? And like they started showing some stuff, and I was just like, man, I should have knew this from the beginning. Like if I would have known this in the last fight, like, it was like, shit, maybe I would have been all right. But even still, like I shouldn't have done it. And that's like also the other blessing of, you know, losing the way I did. It was like, yeah, I got knocked out, but I got some sense knocked into me. Like, dude, yeah, dude, it's like, yeah, you gotta know your limitations. You gotta know what you can and can't do.
Right.
And stand with a guy who is like who's pretty damn good in kickboxing is not the way to go. And, you know, when you're fighting. So, but, yeah, so I get in there and I'm just like, man, I'm sparring with some of these, even the lower level dudes. And I'm like, son of a gun. Like, man, you're almost embarrassed. Cause I'm like, you know, I tell people I'm in Bellator in there, and then they're like, I'm fighting maybe some like lower level dudes at the moment. Like cause I'm like 7 months in when I had showed up, and like some of them they were definitely hitting me more than I was hitting them. And I was just like, gosh dang, dude. Like, yeah. I'm like, you're embarrassed. And right. Then like, so like literally like a half hour before each practice, like I was going over the stuff that they had went the day before. I was just like, you gotta lock in. Like I gotta lock in. You gotta get obsessed, dude. Like you can't go at the pace of some of these dudes that are like now like 5+ years in. Like right. You can't go at that pace. Like you gotta step up what you're doing. Like you're in a unique situation. You're gonna have to put in more time than everybody else. Like you have catching up to do. Mm-hmm. And so like literally half hour before each practice, I was like going over stuff like that we had learned before, like and predominantly it was like in the striking department. I mean, I have good feel for like striking and stuff. Yeah. But it's like you got to know more than feel. Like you got to have like an actual understanding. Mm-hmm. You know, you got to know like you got to know it like a lot of angles. Like there's a lot of angles of striking. Like there's like there's more than one counter. Okay, so in wrestling there is kind of a like for every move there's kind of a counter. Right. And it's most of the time it's like maybe one to two counters. But in striking, so now in MMA striking, there's maybe like four counters or 4 different movements that they could, or 4+ movements that they could do just from one strike. Like you can like just let's go over a jab, for example. Like a guy throws a jab, he could throw like he could throw depending on how he's standing. So if you're ortho going against ortho, or actually ortho going against southpaw, for example, that's probably the easiest one. Guy throws a jab, you can throw the like the near side hook, which is like because you're standing in an open stance. So guy throws his left jab at me, I can throw a right hook at him. Guy throws his left jab at me, I can slip it, go lead uppercut. Right. Guy throws the lead jab, I can slip it and also throw my left cross at the same time. So that's like 3 to 4 right there. Like it's just off one little jab. So it's just like there's so many angles and so many things to know about striking. And I was like trying to just do it like right away. And it was just like, damn, maybe I ought to like kind of stay with what I'm good at. Right. While I develop this other thing, you know? So, but, yeah, that was kind of the one thing, you know, just addressing what you are, like your limitations and what you are good and not good at. Right. Like you got to know your feel for some spots, and you got to dial in some techniques, and for sure you just got to be thinking about it all the time. And part of that was, you know, dropping some habits that, you know, maybe make me shut off my mind, you know, like video games is a good example. Like definitely when once I moved in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I literally left the PlayStation at home. Yeah. I was literally like, all right,
it's a distraction at this point.
Yeah, it's a distraction at this point. I'm just going to embrace the situation I'm in. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I'm just going to try to get obsessed with it, you know?
Right.
So
being a wrestler, would you primarily and I think you kind of explained this, like you want to embrace your strengths but still strengthen your weaknesses.
Oh, absolutely.
So when you're a wrestler and you're seeing who you're going to fight next, because some guys are like to stand up, some dudes, everyone has their what they're known for. Do you want to fight other wrestlers, or would you rather fight a guy who doesn't like to wrestle and get him on the ground?
I mean, to be honest, I
know you don't get to pick, but like if you had to
like a preference.
Sure, like if you were like, okay, because you don't get to pick your fight, right? They kind of get shuffled towards you. An opportunity strikes, and you can say I want it or not. Or
yeah, it's just kind of like, the promotion maybe has a guy, and then like they kind of just funnel it to your management, and then it's kind of a process. Like I know my manager doesn't tell me, or he probably won't tell me, oh, like this guy, and this guy like wants to fight. Like they're probably all just kind of going over. Okay,
what's the best fit right now?
Yeah, like they're kind of looking, and I know he'll be talking to my coach and stuff, and they'll kind of like have an opponent, and then like they'll like look at the opponent. So they're just before you accepting anything. But I guess there's not really a preference. I guess I mean, at this stage, I guess the striker versus wrestler thing is always definitely a mismatch. So
because if you get him on the ground, he's screwed, or
because if I get him to the ground, he's most likely.
But at the same time, if he connects, you could be screwed
for sure, absolutely.
Right. But that's what makes fighting.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in MMA with those 4-ounce gloves, man. Oh shoot. And because like you said, one punch could be over for sure.
Yeah, it only takes one.
Exactly.
That's how it's been. I was just thinking, like, you're talking about your chin. Is it as good as I thought it was at one point? Like, is there a secret remedy behind MMA fighters that you could help your chin almost? Like, can you practice something like that? Or is that a you got it or you don't type of thing? I know that's sounds like a dumbass question, but I don't seriously, like, people go to great extents for some things. Like,
I don't know that. I guess having the awareness for the punches, definitely helps. Like now, because like I since going to Jackson Wink out in Albuquerque, we definitely have a way higher intensity for like sparring and stuff. So you're
taking shots during practice.
So like for instance, like Aaron Pico. Aaron Pico is one of my partners, and it's pretty much a damn near fight when you're going with him. So it's like so it's high intensity, and if you can, you have that feel of a real fight.
Yeah.
And so I have those emotions. I have the anxiety level of a real fight and all that stuff. So when you can kind of like see those fast ass and like hard hitting punches, like coming at you, like, and maybe you take a few, like you're bound to take a few, because we're also going in like soft top MMA gloves, which maybe like 6 to 8 ounces. So when you're taking like a punch from that, like it's like you're like somewhat conditioning, because also another thing that can knock you out is the speed. There's such thing as like a flash knockdown, flash knockout, maybe they don't hit the hardest, but they could still kind of like
1-2,
like stun your ass from like, oh shoot, that hit me. Like I wasn't ready to get hit. That's part of like when guys get knocked out. It's because they're just not ready to get hit. And that's actually, it's probably the majority of.
I was gonna say, I feel like
that's
the majority.
That's probably the majority.
You
to be honest,
eat something,
yes.
But it's the one you don't see. That
yes, you got to know how to take a punch. You got to know, So there's definitely all that stuff. So once I guess you know how to like see the punches coming, and maybe you kind of like take one every now and then that you did, or maybe you take one that you did see, maybe you kind of know, because definitely Aaron Pico is a notoriously hard hitter, and so that's a great kind of measuring point for me. Yeah, it's like I mean, you don't want to take these punches all the damn time, but it's like you kind of know.
It's gonna help your chin for sure. Probably.
Yeah, you don't want to do it your entire career.
Yeah.
Like I'm just starting out, so I kind of need to get my ass knocked off a little bit. I need to put the miles in a little bit, but there is going to come a time where I maybe need to like scale it back just a little bit.
Right.
I don't really wear headgear.
Yeah.
He wears headgear because I mean he's done it for like 5 years now, but there's going to come a time like I probably need to not, be fighting like
fighting
that.
every day like that.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be every day like that. So, yeah, with that being said, I don't know if there's like a straight way, like if we ain't just standing there going
trading blows.
Yeah, just trading blows. But yeah, it definitely helps to see the punches coming.
Right.
So,
is there a fighter that, I know you said in your new gym in New Mexico, there's some legends there. Is there a fighter that is, a vet that you've trained with or you've met or you've encountered where you're like, hey, they've really taken me under their wing, or they've taught me a lot of things, whether it's, being a fighter itself or even just being a professional?
I mean, I don't think there's anybody really that I've like went under their wing with. Our gym is still fairly young. Like I mentioned, John Jones is not there anymore.
Right.
Our gym's fairly young.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of us just kind of like,
still on the rise.
Yeah, they're still on the rise. Like a lot of us are like actually, or a lot of them are like knocking on the door of the UFC or like PFL, which is another competitor organization to the UFC, and then even Bellator. So we're kind of all just, figuring it out as we go. And
yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I don't think there's really
they're so
like
green
that.
in the game still. Like there's so much that could happen, and like it's like, I mean, you go on a 3-win streak, you go on a 5-win streak. Who knows if how soon the UFC are calling, or if you get a chance at your weight class's belt eventually, or whatever might happen. I mean, it's such a game where you could rise so fast, or you could fall off real quick too. As to where, and like I said, it's you versus you, so it's difficult. And I know you have that wrestling background, and I think about it in the sense of what do you do to keep yourself getting up every day, every morning? What did you do as a young wrestler to do that? To like, what's something that you reflect back on and you're just like, this is why I wrestle? I mean, I know we talked about social media. You want to make people proud. I get it. Like I do too. Hell yeah, I want to make my mom and dad proud and my brothers proud and my sister proud. But like at the end of the day, you're the one who goes into that octagon and is willing to risk their life to get success. Mm-hmm. Why do you do it?
Why do I do MMA?
Why do you wake up in the morning and get out of bed and train your ass off?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, so I'm at a level where I'm in a sport where I could get hurt really bad.
Right. And
it's like, if I'm in a sport where I could get hurt really bad, I need to put in. Like I need to put in this work. Like I don't want to go and get humiliated.
Right.
Like it sucks.
Yeah.
Like I also believe I can be a world champ.
Right.
Like I think
you have to believe that. You have to believe that.
Right. Like I'm not just in it to be one of the guys. And I think that's really, I think I kind of was just in the mix in wrestling. Like I think, like I needed to overcome some mental hurdle, and I never really confronted it within myself. Uh-huh. And it's like, yo, you need to confront this. Like to be successful in anything, there's something I'm gonna have to confront within myself, and I'm gonna have to, really engage my mind, like I never really have before. And that's kind of a thing. Like I've kind of noticed from absolutely. even Josh. Yeah. Josh has been so much better about about staying focused and being engaged than I have. Right. And it's like, maybe there's more like I could sit around and think, oh, he's just like, he's more gifted. Maybe it just fell in his lap. The cards fell in his favor. Or it could be like, yo, maybe I ought to make my own luck.
Right.
And freaking, you know, try to get the most out of myself.
Yeah.
Like maybe maybe I ought to really try to apply myself instead of thinking, oh, the cards just didn't fall for me.
Right.
Oh, like maybe it just wasn't in my favor. Maybe God just didn't want me to be a world
It wasn't
champ.
meant to be. God just doesn't want that.
And it's just like, you can make all these excuses like how, you know, like the cards were stacked against me, when really like you had no business thinking that in the first place, because you didn't really apply your mind like you needed to. Like, yeah, you had you had the physical attributes, but it's just like you never brought it all together. And it's just like, maybe you ought to find out why that is.
Yeah.
So I'm just...
Damn.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that answer. Okay. I got one more question. After a fight, what is, you know, like first moments? Is the adrenaline just go from this high to just a crash? Or at what point does the soreness kick in? At what point are you like, I can't even walk? I mean, tell me the triggers, and like, do you eat a fat meal right after? Or you guys get some beers? Like, how's it roll?
Well, thank God I didn't take any damage on my last fight, so that was pretty dang cool.
Right.
But
and you got your first dub, which that's huge. Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Thank you. So honestly, it was just there is a huge adrenaline high. Like, as you're going in there, like, you really, I think I did a good job of not really fighting with like a bunch of adrenaline. I was just like
calm, cool, collected.
Yeah, I was definitely calm, cool, and collected for this next one, because like I said, like Jackson Wink, like it's high intensity. Like, somebody's really been trying to knock me out. So I've been in this like mindset of, you know, someone's trying to hurt me all the time. So it's just like the same emotions I get in practice. Like, I actually was used to feeling it for my last fight. So that was pretty cool. But so yeah, I was definitely like, okay, like if he does this, or if he does this, I'm going to do this. So I was like, yeah, super calm and cool. But yeah, going back to actually answering your question here, I was definitely on an adrenaline high. Like, thank you, coach. Like, like, I definitely, let's go, baby. I was like, let's go. Like, yeah, for sure. Like, I didn't want to like show it on the camera, like, while I was out in the octagon, because I was just like, I'm trying to act like I've been here before.
I've been here before.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I was just like, oh, that was awesome. Like,
yes,
man, fighting is so much fun. Which, yeah. So it's always, like I said, it's always nice when you win.
Oh my god, I could imagine.
Yeah, I didn't. Thank God I didn't take any damage. And then, for sure, afterwards, all the fans were coming up to me after I had walked out from the locker room. They were like, man, you're awesome. Like, can I buy you a beer? And so definitely I drank some beers with the fans, took some pictures.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely went and got some, I think there was like a Johnny Rockets or something.
Smacked a nice little meal.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I definitely went in for some Johnny Rockets, got a nice milkshake with it. Oh, I was going
pigging
in.
out.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think they had a Chick-fil-A in there, and I was just like,
double down.
Yeah, we got to get some Chick-fil-A in there. So yeah, because I had to make 145, man. It was kind of tough. Around at? I'm like day near 170. Yeah, like,
damn. Yeah,
so it's like,
wow.
Yeah, so yeah, we're thinking about possibly being back in June or July.
Okay.
That's what I've been. We don't know yet for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, they just told my manager, and my manager got to me like a few days ago, like, hey, they're thinking June, July at the latest. So yeah, I'll be doing it all over again.
Are you fired up?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What's it like? Like when they're like, all right, let's just see who got next. Like, are you just researching every single thing about this person, watching every single thing they've done? Like,
yeah. Like I'm definitely like looking into the guy a little bit. Like, definitely, your anxiety level goes up, or mine does at least. But
yeah,
I think I definitely have more anxiety leading up and more emotions leading up than I actually do like in the cage.
Yeah,
because I'm just like,
it's those butterflies, but as soon as it's go time, it's like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, it's like literally like the day before.
It's a build up.
Like like day before in the hotel, you're like definitely like you're kind of like thinking about it. You get like all jittery and stuff. But then like the day of, I was just like,
time to work.
I'm like, let's freaking go, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
Like especially like the day before. Like guys kind of like my last guy especially, he's kind of like mad dogging me and like we're facing off and the thing, and he's like, I'm just,
Are you a shit talker, or are you just kind of like,
nah,
you're like, fuck you, man? Like,
nah, I don't think I'm much of a crab talker. I'm just kind of like, it is what it is. I think I try to let the fight and speak for itself.
The fight and do its thing, yeah.
And I just try to make sure I have a good product going out there, and for sure I come and try to finish this guy for 15 minutes. Right. Like that's all I'm thinking. Like for the lead up of this fight, like I'm just like I prepared like very. I thought I prepared very well for this last fight, and yeah, man, I can't wait to do it again.
I love that.
Yeah.
Fire me up. You got any sponsors yet?
I do not.
Somebody we might have to give you Dervos, bro. Dervos might need to throw a logo on the trunks or something like that.
Dervos, hit me up, man.
Dude, well, I'm going to get that connect for you for sure. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here. Isaiah, you got anything you want to say to Bring the Juice Nation before we're done?
No, I think we're good. Just be on the lookout come June or July, and I'll keep y'all posted.
Yes, sir. We're going to make sure that we tag you in all the beautiful stuff that Bring the Juice produces. I appreciate you coming on the pod. I want to go to this next fight. I want to go. I'll throw a Bring the Juice logo on the trunks. I don't care.
Absolutely.
We'll figure it out.
Absolutely.
Another great episode of the Bring the Juice podcast. Be sure to subscribe, leave 5 stars, follow us on the gram, follow Isaiah on the gram. Keep a lookout for his next fight date. Pay-per-view, baby. Let's go. And don't forget this week, get your piss hot, and let's bring the juice, baby.
Let's go.
Let's go.